And on that note, boy, did I rile somebody up. Do you want to be in construction? You got to talk like this. Go I know you hate that word. For everybody listening, John's face like crinkles all up every time he tries to say it. He hates that.
I have to look up. Absolutely.
All of which are important. We're not just talking about getting your hands dirty. Construction is construction.
Right. So, I became an electrician because engineers need heroes too. No, like this whole run, like what we've been fucking doing, it is the growth. The growth is fucking awesome. You know, between not only that, like we've been buddies a long time, dude.
Right.
A long fucking time, but we've never really been able to hang out that much.
That, right. If this does make it to the podcast, for everybody listening, the whole point of this originally was to see if it was fun and for John and I to spend more time together because we didn't get a lot of chances to hang out. The podcast was a offshoot of our desire to hang out and fucking...
I thought it was just a fucking drunk goddamn idea on our fucking motorcycle ride.
I never expected anything to come of it. I thought it was just like something we were talking shit about or something. I know we've talked about this before, but the fact that it has gone this way is as big a surprise as for me as people who listen go, Jason got a fucking podcast? Like on the internet podcast.
Oh, God.
Which, by the way, I've heard a couple of different times.
Yeah,
now.
Me too.
Yeah.
People will look at me and be like, a podcast?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, where can, like, send me the link. I'm like, Spotify, dickhead.
Yeah. Spotify.
Amazon.
YouTube.
Apple. Yeah. Not a link. Go to any of your major sites.
And do a search.
We're there. I know it sounds crazy, but we're on all the major sites. It's a podcast. Like, you can check it out.
Fucking pull us up. Jesus, it's fucking...
Rate, review, and subscribe, motherfucker. Like, we need all the follows we can get. Please listen to it.
Right. And I think that's what's important. You know what? People are fucking listening. I'm going to say, we will actually fucking comment back. If you comment on something, don't expect it to be like immediate, because if you text us at 507-607-ISAW.
Right.
If you text us, it's not going to be immediate response. Right. Except that because, God damn it, we're still out in the fucking field working.
This is a side project. We work for a living, right? Like, we'll get back to you.
Yeah,
right?
I promise we will.
And since I recently found out that when you call, I made the assumption of, because John and I are just learning about this technology ourselves to help you interact with us, that I thought it just automatically went to a voicemail when they called. So they could leave a voicemail. I thought, obviously, text messages just come in as text messages. John just told me this week, he's like, yeah, man, no, that call goes to you. So if you do contact me, if I don't assume it's a spam, you might actually get me on the phone.
Right.
You know, it probably is going to be the voicemail if I don't recognize the number. But like John's saying, we're definitely going to interact with people and get back to you.
Yeah,
and what I've been meaning to bring up over and over, and we've mentioned it a couple times, but it's real important to tell everybody, what do you want to hear about out there? Do you have an idea of something you'd like to hear us discuss on the subjects of the trades or something that's related to what you were talking about around the break table? Like, fucking let us know. We're happy to do it.
Yeah, and nothing's off the fucking books.
Yeah. If you want to be wild and suggest something crazy, man, wait till you hear the rest of this episode. I got a wild suggestion one, folks.
Man,
just wait. After
this
you hear this,
might actually fire up further than the fucking EV rant I had.
Ooh, man, people are not going to like what I got to say today, but some people might. So anyways.
I kind of fucking agree with him. I'll preference that right now.
Yeah. So everybody, but what we're getting at before we really get going here today is, please, if you have an idea of something you want to hear, we can even maybe get lucky and find a guest on the related topic. Like, please, we're thinking outside the box. I've got a crane operator coming in soon because those guys are one of the saviors of the job sites.
No, fuck them.
We're not humping up walls and humping gigantic weight up onto the roof, right?
Fuck.
Thank God for the crane operators. Right. We're going to try to get some guests in that are the lesser loved, lesser appreciated trades that we couldn't do our job without these days. So
right.
Things like that. If you have any idea at all, I'm sorry to keep stepping on John, but I'm passionate about this. Let us know. 507-607-ISAW. Hit us up.
And not only that, man, like fucking if it's your idea and we can get you on the phone, we can do phone calls.
Oh, yeah, you don't
have to be here.
Right, you got to be in the Midwest. We can take you. It'll sound a little different, but who cares? Yeah, if we can have a conversation with you about anything you want to talk about, please let us know, because
we've got the tech to be able to do it.
Right. We did this now. Reach out, let us know. We want to have people on, even if it's just a voice clip is something you want to tell us. That's why we have the voicemail, the DMs, emails, all that. So,
right.
Speaking of which, real quick, before we get going here, buddy, welcome everybody to the I Shower After Work podcast. I know we started off in a bit of a rant today, but that's going to happen sometimes because, like I said a minute ago, I'm going to talk some wild shit here in a minute, and we're going to see how it reacts. I wanted to give a couple quick shout outs, and I know you did too, John. CJ has been interacting with us on our socials and stuff. What was his last name? You knew his last name.
Renko.
CJ, shout out to CJ Renko. Mary and Roger, I got to recently meet on a job site helping Doug out, who was on our podcast here recently. Shout out to Mary and Roger. Got to see the project they had going at their house. Really lovely, super sweet people. Had nothing but nice feedback, so we really appreciate you listening. I think there was one other person that had interacted, especially after Doug's episode. What was the gentleman's name?
Oh my God. You're talking about, we talk about a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let me preface what we're going to talk about on the podcast today, and John can hopefully look it up maybe while we're doing that. He may
and just to make sure, you are talking about Doug's buddy, right?
Yeah, the Marine guy. Yeah. I want to shout that guy out. He was real interesting. He had a lot of nice stuff to say, some great feedback. I want to make sure we shout him out.
Marlon Reeves.
Shout out to Marlon Reeves. God love you, Semper Fi, Marine.
Semper Fi, and thank you for your service, sir.
Yeah, we appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for listening. Thank you for everything. We hope you continue to listen after Doug. We got another Marine coming on soon. I don't want you just to listen to Marine episodes, but we do have another Marine coming on soon, and he's a grizzled old vet. We're going to love that guy.
Jason's scheduling people without me even knowing. Fucking imagine that.
We got some excellent feedback after our first guest, and by the time this one comes out, you'll probably have already definitely we'll already have heard. We had a second guest coming through for a special week. Yeah, so
I hope you enjoyed that.
If you're still listening to this one, we were really proud of that one, and we had another really fun guest. So we've gotten a lot of great feedback about the guests going forward. We're committed. We're going to have more guests more often.
For sure.
Which, unfortunately, that means sometimes I planned one without letting John know. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah, what the fuck? It's an easy phone call. Jesus Christ.
Fucking bit of a cunt sometimes. What are you going to do? So, buddy.
And
go ahead, yeah.
Real quick, I want to actually mention that we got a few more followers. I just wanted to shout them out real quick, and I want to do this super quick. The people that have that are our new followers on our email, and go ahead and get over to our website at isawpodcast.com. Get over there. If you sign up for the email and text messaging, then we can text you. We cannot text you back until you actually sign up legally.
Right.
You have to opt in. All right. And we really want to be able to talk to you guys. But
that doesn't stop you from sending us a text message or a voicemail. You can certainly do that. You don't need to do that. But if you opt into that, then we can respond back and talk to you about maybe as a guest or podcast ideas. So sorry, John, keep going.
So I want to give a quick shout out to, besides CJ Renko, Gary Marwelli,
Gary, what's up?
Guy that I know back home. Good, really good dude. Kurt Smith and Amber Jacobs just recently signed up. So I do greatly appreciate that.
Shout out to all of them. Amber Jacobs. Wow. One that I didn't know, and that's a friend of Michelle and I's from way back in the day. So
there you
God
go.
Love Amber Jacobs. Shout out to you and Gary, and what was the third one?
Kurt.
Thank you, Kurt, as well, for listening. All right, folks. I'm going to go off on the rails here today, and I want you to bear with me. I'm going to tell you a quick story. John and I are going to have a reasonably short one today, but we've done some real construction-related stuff lately, and I got some feedback from a gentleman that I used to work with, and I mean years ago. I was a young apprentice. I couldn't believe we even had the same phone numbers, both of us, but after the last episode that we put out, and depending on when this comes out, it might be a few episodes ago, I made a wild suggestion to be funny about possibly years of construction service, since John and I believe, and I think rightly, that we're in a real labor shortage and we got to get all the people we can. Hey, maybe if you work for 4 years, you get citizenship. Again, I wasn't trying to be political. Go ahead, John.
You're not totally off on that fact, though, because we, as a construction workers, we build the country. we keep the country functioning. As our motto says, our work keeps the world working.
Right.
And it is absolutely 100% true. Right. The simple fact is, you know what? If you want to support the country, help the country. If you want to live in the country, help the country. Right. I don't think you're too far off, man.
Yeah, I would never take credit for this. Anyone listen to our podcast, especially dudes, likely listens to Joe Rogan. He said many times, but I take his comment to heart, this country and Canada as well gets better with less losers.
Fucking tell me about it.
Construction careers create less losers.
Hey,
the people that maybe didn't want to be in the conformed 9 to 5, sitting in the office, HR, watch your mouth world, who can put in a good day's work and make a great career and have good benefits and blah, blah, blah. We've talked about
fucking work ethic.
And work ethic, right? It's crucial.
Right.
All right. So on that note, I did mention this as, again, a wild suggestion a few episodes ago.
It was wild, but it wasn't completely off the rails.
And also, I didn't really mean it. It was more to rile people up. And on that note, boy, did I rile somebody up. So I'm not going to shout him out. I'm going to keep he wasn't angry when he called, but it was one of them heated, friendly conversations.
You said it was pretty funny.
It was pretty funny. He called up heated, but it was in a good mood. He wasn't actually angry.
I'm going to repour my drink.
Please repour your drink. So let me give you the real quick recap here, okay, everybody? Our episodes, obviously, as you know, come out on Thursday. I got a call very early on Friday morning. I hadn't spoken to this guy in years. I want to say it might be a decade.
Wow.
We had texted a few times, fourth wall break. A lot of my American friends who I got to know and liked, but once you're on a different job site, sometimes you lose track of people. That's what happened. Would often give me a text message or a quick phone call, especially on a Canadian holiday.
Oh, okay.
Very often on Canada Day or Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas we've talked about, they would think, oh, I know that great Canadian Jason. I'm going to give him a call quick. I get a lot of those, right?
Well, you give yourself a lot of credit there.
I do, yeah. People love me. Everybody loves a Canadian boy. I even had a t-shirt that said so once. Touche. So anyways, he called me up, and to paraphrase, I won't get it exactly right, but this is pretty close because it's sort of burned into my memory now. I hadn't talked to this guy in quite a while. And as I answer the phone, oh my God, XYZ, and again, I'm not going to say his name. What's going on, man? It's been forever. Listen, you ought to be on the next plane back to Canada, you damn foreigner with your socialist libtard fucking... Is this the kind of thing that you're saying on this podcast? I'm really concerned about the state of the world. And he's not Southern, but for some reason, my voice always goes to Southern when I think of somebody saying something wild. He was happily funny about it, but he was not impressed at that suggestion at all. So... in the spirit of taking feedback from our listeners, okay, I wanted to acknowledge the fact that he had that opinion about what I said in the podcast, and I'm going to have a sip of my drink, and then John and I are going to spend this episode retorting to that comment, which, if you send me something wild, we'll respond to you. It might not always be a whole episode, but we'll definitely shout you out.
Right. So when it comes to... I fucking love that guy.
Dude, listen.
So, dude, God damn it. I don't even know how to take this. Which direction do we go here?
I'm going to tell you if you're interested.
So,
keep going.
You're not completely wrong. I think it could be.
It could work.
It could fucking work.
It could.
You're right. It could work in solely because of the fact of. And I don't mean to stepping on or raining on your parade or taking your glory.
Hit me.
We already, as men in the country, we already have to sign up for the draft, right? Automatically. If you don't sign up for the draft, there's a lot of shit you can't do, right?
I don't know if is it still in place now?
Yes.
Because I emigrated quite a while ago, and I recall there were things in my immigration papers that I signed that up until a certain age, I could be drafted.
Right, until like 28 or something like that.
Yeah, I want to say 28, 29. Okay, so go ahead, buddy. Sorry to jump on.
So we have to do that already. But there's other countries out there, right? Like, there's other countries.
You're falling right into what I was thinking.
There's other countries there that fucking mandate certain things, right? Military services. Like Korea, and I don't say this because my wife is Korean, And so I kind of know a little bit.
South Korean, let's point out.
South Korean. She is South Korean.
It is different.
Back the fuck off for a minute. You don't want to go up that wall. I will get really fucking... Okay, so...
My sister-in-law back home, Young, God love you, Young. I hope you ever listen sometimes. She's also from South Korea, Co.
But they mandate not only the draft, theirs isn't the draft, they mandate 3 years of military service.
And my friend, this was where I thought I would double down on my friend that didn't like that comment from before.
Oh, you're going that route.
I got a wild suggestion, folks. Conscription. Maybe. Hey, we know.
I didn't think I was going to fall into it that well.
Yeah, know that we do need people to keep building and maintaining our infrastructure and our buildings and our utilities and everything. Construction is a crucial trades. If we don't have the people, we're in real big trouble real fast, okay? That's what John and I are doing here. We're trying to make sure that people keep getting in. Maybe you have to, similar to what you're saying, of countries that have mandatory military service, maybe sometimes between the end of high school and, let's say, for the sake of argument, off the top of my head here, 21, you're required to do a couple years of something within. It doesn't have to be moving brick or pulling wire. Maybe you're in the shop. Maybe it's a project. Maybe if people don't want to get into the construction trades or don't have the opportunity to do it in high school and things like they used to, maybe we make them.
Ooh.
Required construction service for 2 years, 18 months, whatever, between the end of high
Let's
school.
do a year.
We can argue that, right? Some sort of, okay, all right, a year. I'll give you a year, okay? You got to put 1 year in required between when you finish high school and graduate and when you turn 21. Let's say 21.
3 months. 3 months between the major industries. 3 months, right?
There'd have to be something where you don't just pull
electrical,
you don't
plumbing,
just throw brick,
framing.
Yeah, you don't
brick.
just finish concrete. Yeah,
right.
you got to do
You
at
bounce
least
around.
4, right? Okay,
Right.
I'm behind all that. Is it really that fucking crazy? We're not asking you to go to war. We're saying that we want you to see the opportunities.
You actually enjoy it.
Maybe you like it. Maybe you know you have an aptitude for the math it takes to frame up a wall and make trusses great. Maybe you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the same way they used to have these programs in schools and art and music, because you might not find out you have the aptitude unless the school offered an opportunity for you to try it. If it's not going to get back into the schools, which you talked about before for various reasons, insurance, scared parents, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right?
Fucking expense.
But maybe as a social program, we make them put a year in.
So,
And obviously, okay, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, like, hey, I don't mean to be dogging on concrete, guys, because I've done concrete. I did concrete right out of school, right out of high school, right? I worked for a concrete company.
But yet it sounds like you're going to dog concrete. Go ahead.
I am. Sorry, concrete guys, hit us up. You can fucking give me a rant of shit.
Yeah, we'll take the heat. Go ahead.
If you can't finish high school, you can finish concrete.
I know. We've all heard that comment, right? And that's, in my mind, okay, that's the concrete version of every other trade saying the electricians don't clean up after themselves.
Exactly.
We all have our cross to bear, right? We all have our cross to
Exactly.
bear. What was the one with the plumbers?
Shit runs downhill, air runs up. It's not that hard. And paychecks on Friday. Don't bite your nails.
Mine was a little more concise, but yes, yeah. Right, yeah, shit runs downhill, paydays on Friday, don't bite your fingernails. Like, yeah, we all have that vernacular cross to bear of whatever they make fun of us, right? Like,
But Jason, honestly, man, you're not far off, dude. Like,
is it an unreasonable ask?
I mean, not
For an industry that is required, buddy.
Okay. Let's turn this around on us. All right. What job would you want your wife doing in the trades?
Whatever the, and I
if she had to go in, where would you put her?
I think my wife would be excellent in anything that had to do with planning and organizing and math.
No. We're not talking about office people.
Neither was I, but keep going.
We're talking about field work.
I think my wife could do any of it. She might not like it as well as anything else, but that could be said of anybody in the trade because that's why we pick our trades. Buddy.
I tell you what, my wife wouldn't. I'm sorry. I'm going to say like my wife ain't making it a year.
No, well, hold on, dude. Let me point out two things. I understand what you're getting at. You're trying to point out like, what if it was my wife? Okay, so A, we are not talking about our wives who are grown adults with careers or whatever. We're talking about young people, a lot of whom have no fucking idea what they want to do with their lives, right?
Okay, so we're talking about my kids.
No, we're talking about you have to, if
Yeah.
between you graduate high school first, that's your focus.
Right.
Get your basic education. But sometime between then and when you're allowed to fucking vote, you got to put in your, let's say, year.
Right.
And if you want to do up to 4 different things 3 months at a time in that year or whatever, it's not unreasonable. We're not asking people to go to war. Lots of countries do that, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm not talking about war. I'm talking about you're required to spend at least this amount of time seeing what is out there, hands-on labor, construction jobs that are crucially important to our country, and maybe we get, even if it was 5% of people who go, wow, I want to do that.
Right.
Or that means I don't have to go to university and pay the money like we've talked about many times.
Right. 2,000 working hours. 2,000 working hours. It's not that fucking big.
Perfect. 2,000 working hours. What we need to kind of get as most trades to progress to the next year within either our apprenticeship or whatever towards ours, right?
It's 1 year of actual labor.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And some people are going to be like, no, you can't fucking do that. You can't force somebody into doing something.
Yeah, you can, but that's what I'm saying, right? And again, it's not forcing him into something that's terrible. Yes, the word force is going to come up with a lot of people, right? It's a required learning experience in an age bracket that I think anyone who's an adult can agree. You don't know what you want.
Oh, fuck.
So why not give you a chance to see the other perspective? And since people don't want to do it now and we're losing people at such a fast rate, maybe this is the radical decision that gets the people to know, wow, I could be a great mechanic. I like running equipment and cranes. I like
driving truck.
I like
being on the fucking road for fucking 8 hours.
Right. Instead of people telling them, as we've talked about before, well, no, you got to go to school to take the courses and figure out what you want. No, you don't.
I keep coming back to this. Why did the guy call you a socialist asshole?
Because the idea of mandatory conscription of any kind in his mind sounded like a foreign concept, and he knew I was Canadian. So he just said, again, he was trying to be funny, but he didn't like what was said.
Is he saying Canadians are socialists?
A lot of people believe that.
They're not.
A lot of people believe that.
Everybody fucking get off your goddamn high horse. Get educated.
It's okay.
Canada's not socialist.
It's okay. We're a democracy like everybody else. We have socialist things the same way the States does.
Fucking amen to that.
People forget. Group and community policing, firefighting, trash, that's socialism. Everybody gets the same service covered by the same.
Right.
You think of socialism as everybody gets the same loaf of bread and block of cheese and gallon of milk.
Yeah.
That's communism, dickhead. A lot of people confuse those things. But yes, I do take, admittedly, a lot of people making socialist comments because they think Canada's that way.
I've never once in my life thought Canada was socialist.
Man, when I was working the field, it came up. It's the universal healthcare thing. That's
not socialism.
But everyone thinks that. So anybody listening who doesn't...
Europe's got that.
Right. We say universal healthcare. You still got to be making sure you're paying your taxes or you don't get your health card to get your... It's not everything is free. It's major healthcare and emergency care and things like that. If you got dental and prescriptions, a lot of that, you still got to have a plan through your work.
Okay, so I didn't know that. That's fantastic. It's
not everything, right?
I'm educated now too.
Yeah, right. And
vision, dental.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the weeds here, but I mean,
anyway.
it's not socialist healthcare. It's a basic universal healthcare, so people don't have to go broke every time kid breaks their leg by accident skateboarding or whatever, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, they'll die from cancer before they get a doctor's appointment.
There is drawbacks to this system because, as I've said before, I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, but this is usually my explanation to people, and we're not going to go too far down this road, but my comment I always make to people, and obviously it's a gross exaggeration, but that's what we're doing here. If you don't walk into a Canadian hospital or emergency room carrying your own head under your arm, you're probably waiting 12 hours. Because
that's so true, right?
Since it doesn't cost you, which it does most of us, at least a copay of some kind in the States, every single time you walk through the door.
Yep.
Every mother whose baby coughed funny, every old person with an ache or pain who was bored, that the emergency rooms are full of people who wouldn't be there in the States because they don't have to worry about a $5 or $10 or $20 copay or whatever.
Right.
There are drawbacks. It's not a perfect system. It just keeps people from going broke when an accident happens.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Basic necessity.
Make sure if you get cancer, they'll make sure you don't die of fucking cancer if they can. It's that stuff.
I don't mean to fucking rant, but I think I might set up our fucking studio at my house in my garage because I'd really like to smoke a cigarette right now.
Fuck, no, we were just talking about that, folks. John and I are both smokers, which hopefully quit one day, but man, it's tough inside when you want to have a... Obviously, you can hear from listening to us, those of you who have been listening for a while. John and I already recorded a couple episodes. We had a few drinks today. That's why we wanted to have a little rant here. God, a cigarette would be nice. Right. You're right about that.
Okay, back to what
on
you were
plan.
saying.
Okay, so here, man, here's what I'm telling you, all right? I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out for a minute, all right? The basics of this, all right? Let's say that your timeline is correct. Let's say 12 months, and the people could choose whether it's a few 3-month stints. They want to try 2 things, 6 months, or whatever. Okay, right? Lots of countries have mandatory service. I know it's mostly military. I know sometimes
it's always military, right?
There's also some that are government mandatory. You got to work in the government somehow. I also found a few of those, right?
Oh, so, okay, yeah.
Right? There's also that. Yeah. It's not as prevalent. It's mostly mandatory military service, right?
Right.
Those were as low as 6 to 9 months in some countries, and as many as 36 was the highest one I found that you were required to put in 3 years.
3 years.
Right? A reasonable timeline, okay? But here's the benefits. People think, oh my God, they're forcing you to be... Not all military go to war. There's lots of administrative parts. There's keeping the equipment. Everyone thinks of the soldier, and I understand that. God love the soldiers. The pilots that are out there, like the people in the Navy, right? The frontliners, right? But there's all the other staff too, right? That's the government
support,
the government support part, right? There's also that, but I mean, listen, it promotes a sense of national unity. You know how people here that are members, oh, you're a Marine, I was a Marine. You're in the Navy, I was in the Navy. We weren't, but we see that all the time.
Right, all the time.
What if everybody had that?
Oh, yeah.
You know what we don't have right now in the United States, and I can tell you the same thing in Canada because I've talked to plenty of friends of mine. We're so divided on some of the things that are going on, and we don't talk politics, but we all know we're divided, right?
Right.
This sort of program does promote a sense of national unity because you've all been through it.
Right.
We all did our part.
Oh, sorry about that.
And the people tend to appreciate the ones who continue to serve because they know what it's like to be involved in that. And that could be the same way with construction, buddy. They would appreciate more what the construction industry does to keep this country running because they had to fucking be in the trenches for a minute and they could appreciate it. And maybe, just maybe, that, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Maybe,
I do.
Maybe it's not a crazy idea.
That's not a crazy idea. And I think that's what people don't understand is without the ability of going into the trades, right? And I'll even take it a step further. Okay, fuck conscription for a minute, right? Mandatory conscription.
I just like the word mandatory. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, but that conscription part is the part that throws me off. That's really hard for me to say.
That's why I use that particular word. I could use any words. The word conscription is so divisive. That's why I use
it's hard for me to say. Fuck off.
I know.
Anyway, so you can find something that you really enjoy. There's people out there that don't know that they really fucking like framing up a wall. They don't know that they like building a brick wall, stuff like that. And I think people need to understand that the things in our trade in construction, when you're sitting there learning in school and learning in high school. And I pray to God this podcast might reach somebody that's in high school. Sorry for the language now, but fuck off. You'll deal with it.
If you want to be in construction, you got to talk like this.
So,
or at least listen to a talk like this. At least listen to talk like this.
So, the things that you're learning in school, I wish I would have known better, because I did not do well in high school, and I'm not proud of it, but I will say it because I own it. I graduated high school with a 1.29 GPA. That is barely.
That's low.
Barely. I was like number 41 out of 42 kids.
Yeah, that's low.
Right. I didn't know that the things, if I would have paid attention to some of the classes, I would have fucking...
I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
There's so many classes out there that tie to construction, right? Like, you think, oh my God, where am I going to fucking use algebra? Fucking who needs algebra? As an electrician, we use a lot of algebra.
Constantly.
All the time. As a framer, you use geometry. Imagine that, right?
Guys figuring out setting walls. Guys
squaring up fucking walls.
The yards of concrete.
Yeah, right?
Doing the grading on a site.
Right. You guys don't realize that construction isn't a brainless activity. It's not for the grunts. It's not for the fucking idiots. It's not for the people that just can't make it in the real world.
Right. That was propaganda, folks.
Right. That is total propaganda. I love that word.
I do too. It's divisive. Everybody perks up when you say propaganda.
Right. Propaganda. You guys don't understand what it takes to be a construction worker when it comes down to the nitty gritty. Right. We have, as electricians, Jason can contest to this, we have a code book that is written for lawyers that we have to study, learn, and know.
Yeah, for those of you who are old enough and those of you who are too young to know what a phone book looks like, I know they don't have phone books really anymore. A phone book is what we've got, and that's just our code for our trade, and every trade has their code.
Oh, and by the way, our code also ties to 3 different other code books.
Yeah. What John's saying is I completely agree. People see us as the uneducated, well, you couldn't make it in the corporate office world, so you're doing construction? Motherfucker. You think that because you see us getting dirty at the end of the day, because we don't have a suit and tie, which I've been in the suit and tie world.
Me too.
It's not that. You think that, and what we're trying to get across here today is, although we know they're never going to mandate fucking conscription, or whatever, there are so many benefits to at least giving it a try.
Yeah. I mean, what would be the worst thing that would come out of conscription out of it, right? What would be the worst fucking thing that, oh, you found out that you don't want to be in construction?
Right.
Okay. Go be a fucking office monkey. Go be a cubicle junkie.
Right. Because let's be honest, most young people these days, and it's different than it used to be. A lot of people used to go, and some still do, obviously, but high school, right to university, to their career, to college, whatever.
That was pushed, right?
That was pushed, right? And it still is pushed now, I think, wrongly. But the difference is, so many people take the gap in between now. They don't think of, oh, I don't need to rush right off to college. I'm gonna keep working at the Starbucks I was working at, or the grocery store, or whatever, right? They're more freewheeling those couple years after high school. They're not as anxious to go. Hey, you could take that time and learn, hey, I love these skills. Maybe this is a career for me that I don't have to incur a bunch of university debt, and I'll make a good living, and blah, 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 blah. We've talked about it a million times, and we'll talk about it a million times more. John was trying so hard not to make noise, and then he knocked that pop bottle over. It's the same thing as anything else. We will gain some people who will appreciate, okay, I don't want to do construction the rest of my life. But now, and we say construction, but we've said before, we talk about all the trades. We also talk about driving truck, mechanics, machinists, people that keep the job going, right?
Right.
It's also those trades too. Maybe they find out just enough about mechanical. That's a skill for the rest of your life.
Right.
You understand how to turn a wrench.
Right.
Hey, yeah, you hated the 3 months that you were finishing concrete, but now the next time you pour your own patio, male, female, young, old, whatever, you gain some skills for life.
Right.
That's not a terrible thing either.
Well, and to understand, even on the flip side of that, right? Like you spend 3 months, doing electrical work. Say, 6 years down the road, you're married with a family and stuff like that. You got a house, you're doing your life, right? And all of a sudden you have a problem in your house. Be like, you know what? I understand enough that I'm going to call somebody.
Right.
I'm not willing to do this.
Yeah.
Right. These guys know what the fuck they're doing.
Right. Having a year, even if they were only doing a few trades throughout the year, they would still see the other trades in action like we do.
Right.
To know exactly what you said, I can probably, as a homeowner, blah, 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 figure this out. Or I now know I need to call a professional. That's right. Even that skill for life of knowing when you're in the weeds and I need to call somebody.
Right.
These things are important because we know lots of people. We've shown up on sites where people tried to do their own work and fucked it all up.
I loved in the service industry. I loved doing residential calls. When you can show up on a job site and you look at the homeowner and be like, has anything changed recently? Has any work been done? Did you happen to try to change something? No.
You lying fucker.
An hour in, you pull out something and be like, are you sure? Oh, fuck yeah, I forgot I tried to fix that. You could have started with that and saved yourself about $100 fucking dollars.
Right. Or more a lot of times.
Or more.
Plus the material they waste to do that. So they use. That's what we're getting at.
So when it comes to conscription.
I know you hate that word. For everybody listening, John's face crinkles all up every time he tries to say it. He hates that
I have to
word.
look up in the fucking air and think hard about saying that word. Yeah. It does not come off my lips very well.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. John really doesn't like trying to say that word. All right.
You know what? Sidebar, my kid can say that backwards.
You know what? I think I knew a kid when they were young that did that. Was that a thing to learn how to say that backwards?
I learned how to say the ABCs backwards.
Oh, that's just because you're from Wyoming and didn't want to get a DUI. Yeah. That's... I'm not impressed by that. Yeah, my parents also told me not to talk to the cops when they don't fucking ask any specific questions. Yeah, fucking of course, man. Yeah. Yeah, give me the ABCs, but only every third letter. Yeah, I got you, man. You're not fooling me. Anyway, sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
But anyway, oh, fuck, now I lost my train of thought. Fuck you, dick.
I'm sorry, I've done that to you, and you've done that to me. That happens. It'll come back to you.
But at the same point, when you're talking about conscription, just having them...
God love you, man. Keep going.
Just having people understand the trades, I think would be more important to me than anything, because there is such a negative precedence.
Precedence, yeah. You're doing okay, buddy. Yeah, we've been drinking. You're all right. Precedence.
Negative precedence.
There's a D in the middle there. You're all right.
Right. On the, oh, you're a construction worker. Oh, you're a dirty construction worker.
It used to make me mad. It makes me fucking laugh now.
It still upsets me that people have that tone, because all I want to do is look at those people that say that and be like, you know what, cunt? You want to have your nice car. You want to have your nice house. You want to have your 72-degree office that you sit in and bitch and moan to your fucking friends about. Right? This still fucking drives me crazy. Fuck you. Fuck everything. If you say dirty construction worker, go eat a dick.
It's part
choke
of
on a bag of...
Right, yeah. Choke on a whole satchel of Richard sideways. Yeah, that's... you're on it, man. I wish it was an original thought of mine, but anytime someone tells me something and I relay it on the podcast or even in real life, I never take credit, or I try never to take credit for things that I didn't say. I can't remember who told me this, but it wasn't me. This is not an original thought, but it really struck home for me. As an electrician, but this could be said for lots of trades, all right? I could go into my tool bag right now. I could grab out a pair of wire cutters. I could walk into a random person's house, and without busting holes in their walls or anything like that, I can fuck their whole life up in the comfort of their home with one tool. Cut the right wire.
Oh my fucking God.
If you're a plumber, cut the right pipe. You're an HVAC guy, cut the right line. Gas. They don't realize we have such a knowledge that, not that we do that to mess up people's homes. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, one simple thing that we could destroy with one simple tool can change the entire comfort of your house or building or business or whatever.
A screwdriver.
They don't appreciate that they're on the razor's edge of their building, not doing what they want because of one thing goes wrong that they can't fix and is a day-to-day thing we can take care of, no problem.
Right.
But then you have the nerve to say that that's not important. Dirty construction workers. Yeah. I might be dirty, but I get dirty to keep you clean and comfortable. And you don't have to say thank you, but you can stop being a fucking prick about it.
Right.
That's what I want.
And that's where it goes. The conscription, I think you're onto something there, man. I really do. You know, the more that we talk about it, even though if I think about my kids and I say my kids because they're that 22, 18,
right? Yeah,
they're in the range, right?
They're in
that's
that
the
range, buddy. They're in that range.
So if I think about them, I'm all like, all right, so what jobs could I see them doing? And realistically, I can see one of them being an electrician. I can see one of them being a computer tech.
I can see one of them being in a really beautiful design part of architectural and things.
Absolutely.
All of which are important. We're not just talking about getting your hands dirty. Construction is construction.
Right. Construction. And maybe that's what people don't understand is the levels of construction, right? So you and I are on the tail end, right? We make shit happen.
Like you said the other day, the doers.
We are the doers, right? So it starts with the architect. It starts with somebody designing something, right?
We need that.
Right. And by the way, just a shout out to all the interior designers, go fuck yourselves.
If you put one more weird fucking angle in a building, listen, sidebar, I was just in a fucking construction site not long ago. For people who don't understand, drop ceiling. It's the one with the grid and the tiles. If you don't know what drop ceiling is and you're working in an office building, you can probably look up and see it.
Yeah, you have a fucking lines. Yeah.
Man, this guy designed triangles. Even the acoustic guys.
Did what?
No, not squares, not rectangles, my brother. Every tile was a triangle. The fucking guys.
I want to fucking kill him.
No, you do. The acoustical guys. So,
and that's for the acoustical guys.
So inside baseball, folks, the people who put up ceiling grid and ceiling tiles, which is important. It is a real important acoustical factor for office spaces and things like that. They are a trade on their own. God love them. That shout out to the acoustic guys. That's normally a square or rectangle grid.
Like it's a 2x4.
Yeah, 2x4 or
pretty standard.
2x2 sometimes even, right?
Yep.
No, this motherfucker thought it'd look real cute to make those all fucking 45s and triangles. Man, when those guys showed up, they were fucking upset.
Does he even understand the amount of labor he added to a fucking job doing that?
I assume the person who did this did. But to your point, interior designers, hey, cool your fucking jets. That don't make a place look better. You just screwed those guys' lives over for twice as long as it needed to be. Like, fucking holy shit. Like, it doesn't look that much better.
So I was doing a fucking house, right? I was wiring a fucking house. A simple house. It was a beautiful, gorgeous custom home, right? It wasn't a millions of dollars. It was way back in the day. It was a home, right? It was the standard $300,000, $400,000 house, right? They had an interior designer. The interior designer came in while we were doing the basement lights, said, hey, I want all those lights, can lights. Now, back in the day, they were actual cans, right? Not the pucks that you can cut in, which is super convenient these days. But I want all those cans placed at a 45-degree angle to the living room. We had 12 of them. And I said, that's fine, but that's not going to work. I guarantee you one of or two or three or four are going to end up on floor trusses. Oh, no, they'll be fine. I already spaced them out.
No, they're not.
And I said, I bet you a steak fucking dinner. She lost.
Right.
And because I laid them all out and I put them all up and I put up the ones and I was a dick. I screwed them to the bottom of the floor trusses that they were hitting. And I said, there's your lights. Now what do you want to do?
Yeah, you want to start cutting floor trusses out and stuff. Yeah, I know this is, again, inside baseball for
fucking
people on the
interior
trades, but it's the same as the engineers who sometimes will send you out something going, hey, it was no problem for us to install this. So specifically this last week,
Right.
I'm outside, I'm on a rooftop, it's a cold day. I'm not complaining about the cold, I'm not being a bitch, but what I'm saying is certain parts of the job as an electrician, specifically bending wire when it's cold, is harder because the insulation doesn't want to move or it doesn't bend as easily.
Breaks.
It breaks sometimes, which also electrically is a fucking problem. You get people who are like, yeah, I had no problem bending that wire in this little space and getting into that. Yeah, in a nice, warm, climate-controlled fucking environment, dickhead.
72 fucking degrees.
Right. That's part of the thing with the people who make the interior designs. They're like,
Right.
yeah, on paper, it looks fantastic. Like, yeah, you ever tried to build it, motherfucker?
Right.
So.
I became an electrician because engineers need heroes too.
I like it, man.
Anyway, so back to your comment of the idea here of this episode is the conscription.
All right, so listen, I'm not going to spin up too long here about this, folks, but here's the deal, okay? It's not crazy. All right? It would offer the opportunity for people to find out careers that they might enjoy, that are important, that we need for this country. We've said it a million times. Also, there's obviously going to be some benefits. I mentioned the sense of national unity because everybody has to do it, right? But there's also the fact that now that people know how the real world works, especially at a young age, if they're conscripted to do that, I mean, those people will take a more active role in the governance of their country because they're going to know how important that part of the economy is.
Right.
And they don't right now. If there was no other part, though, what I think is really the most important thing is here. If you've worked in construction, and anybody listening, you can disagree with me if you want, and if you do, hit us up on our socials. But I'm telling you, I'm a real believer in this. If there's one thing that construction doesn't do, especially at the grassroots level of the doers, like John and I, the end of the line, there is not discrimination based on race or social class or gender as much as things were in the past, because we're all in the quote unquote trenches together.
Oh, fuck. Oh, could you imagine the fucking... Oh, dude, follow me down the rabbit hole on that one. When
Go.
You said social class, can you imagine some poor fucking kid that was raised in a fucking $1 million family that didn't know his ass from a hole in the ground being in the fucking... I would fucking kill him as a goddamn construction worker because he'd be a whiny cunt.
All right, so I thought about this, man. I'm glad you brought this up, okay? Listen, in the same way, and I know we're comparing this to military service. It's not military, right? Obviously, it's not the same as military service, but we're talking about the mandatory, you got to put your time in. Whatever.
Should I apologize?
Like, so no, don't apologize. I'm gonna square away what you're talking about here. I get what you're saying, okay? Look, will there be people who need to be exempted out for one reason or another? You obviously can't sling brick if you're in a wheelchair. There are obviously people who couldn't be conscripted into government or military service because of some part of their lifestyle. I'm not talking just about disabilities, but lots of people get out. And then there's obviously the rich fuckers who all the years throughout history could buy their children out of military service or whatever.
I'd like it not to happen, though.
I would, but we know, and we need to be realistic. You're still going to be able to do that. No, I can't. My kid can't go. They're taken into Harvard or whatever. Fuck them people, right?
Yeah, right.
We know that's going to be part of it, right? But them people were never going to give it a try at all. So yes, there's going to be a few of those people that were from a richer family, whether it's because they didn't have a plan or those parents were smart enough to go, no, go and do your working for a living thing for your year, like everybody else has to do. So you know what it's like. There's going to be smart parents as well, rich or poor, wealthy or not,
right,
who understand that. No, go put your time in because I want you to understand that. And that was the antithesis of this whole thing, buddy.
Right.
Maybe it would be beneficial for everybody, whether you like it or not, whether you decide, oh, I want to be in construction or not. Being exposed to it at a young age would make an appreciation for what you want to do, what you don't understand how to do, and what you could never possibly do. Because now at least you understand and see that's not just a dirty, filthy construction worker. That's the person keeping everything running.
Right.
And even if we only get, as I said at the beginning of this episode, maybe 5% people who go, oh, great, yeah, no, I found a place in the trades that's what I really want to do.
Yeah.
At least the other 95% fucking know what's up.
Right. And they have a little bit of fucking respect. I would like to, we had a recent episode, or maybe it hasn't come out yet, but we had an episode talking about the old timers.
Yeah, we had one of those recently. Yeah, these don't always come out in order, folks. Sorry. Yeah.
We don't know which way they're going to go.
We're trying to keep it up, right?
But at the same time, let's just say that's recorded now. Was there, back in the day, was there a higher level of respect for construction workers than there is now? Because there isn't one now.
If it was back in the day, it was way back, because before our current time,
say 30 years ago,
even 30 years ago. So before our current time, I'm going to really vastly generalize here. Okay. So I'm not talking about today. So let's take a step back. I don't know what the years are, right? But take one big step back in a generation. It's the lazy construction workers leaning on a shovel. Okay. You take one step. Right. That was it. Right. You take one step back before that. And it was it's the mob, and those guys aren't really working, and it's all mob controlled. And you take a step back before that. That's when the unions really first got going. Those generation before that. Well, they don't want to work, and they just want to protect themselves. They're not trying to build this country. There's always been some sort of, and it changed over time to try to keep people against it, of a negative impression of the people who build and maintain this country.
Right.
There's always something. And what we're dealing with now, I haven't seen a real new one other than they're trying to force a division between union and non. Now, John and I have said we're all about union and non-union, right? If you're out there right now and you listen to our podcast and you're in the union, any union, or you're non-union and out there getting after it, God love you. But listen.
Yeah.
Pay attention. It
doesn't matter.
Yeah. Pay attention, okay? It doesn't matter. And if they're trying to drive if John trying to crunch ice with being quiet, if they're trying to drive a division between us, it's because they know that that's an easy way for them to save money. They don't care about any of that, right?
Right.
Don't let them drive a division between us. We're all construction workers together.
Right.
All right.
We're all in the shit together.
Yeah, we're all in the same shit together here. Okay.
Right.
Don't let them tell you that the argument is union versus non-union. That's their way of keeping us arguing with one another and not focusing on the fact that we are the ones, regardless of how you do your job and what company you work with, that are keeping this shit going.
Right.
Don't let them fool you, folks.
And
don't let them fool you.
I want to take it a step further. It doesn't matter what business you're in, what company you work for. If you're in construction, right? If you're in it, and you and I are doers, right? We've said that several times. Without us, the office goes nowhere.
Right. But without the office, we go nowhere.
Right.
We're all in this together.
Right.
We're not saying the only important part is the people. We need project managers and presidents and people
we do.
Right, we need dispatchers. Right. Like, if she ever listens, my dispatcher, Stacy, shout out. You are helping all of us out. Not me, but everybody out there trying to get it. Yeah, we're not just saying the people physically doing it. Construction as a group.
So I just I just scrolled down in our conversation that we're having here on the computer here, and I didn't realize military service, when it comes to conscription, mandatory military service. I think people need to understand this. 49 countries have mandatory service. You looked this up.
I was the one who put the 49 countries in the world. Okay, so I will admit. Okay, hold on. Let me.
And a few communist countries.
Before people call me out, I admit a few of those are communist countries,
right? Which we don't,
or military dictatorships,
right?
I'm willing to admit that. Okay,
at the same time,
it's not an uncommon thing,
right? It's not an uncommon thing. And I like how you said it earlier, that we're not asking you to go to fucking war. I'm not asking you to die, even though the construction trades are
occasionally dangerous.
There is a lot of inherent danger,
but certainly a lot like the military. We're not trying to make that comparison genre.
We're not,
right?
Right. We're not putting you in front of a gun.
Yeah, we're not saying it's easy or without danger, but it's certainly not military service, right?
But if you can take a minute to find something that you actually enjoy doing, because the push away from construction, the push away from trades has been so pronounced lately that, oh, you need to go to school, you need to go to university, you need to get an education. You know what? I'll say it flat out for everybody. There's a certain point that you're educated enough. Work in the fucking trades, do something that you can be proud of. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay to be a and maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the thing. People don't understand that it's okay to be a construction worker.
Not just okay, my friend. It should be encouraged for a lot of people. Yeah. Hey, if you want to do a different path, that's something that interests you, fantastic. But if you can, well, like our recent guest Katie said, to go home at the end of the day with a feeling of accomplishment. I did that.
Right.
That's worth more than money. That's worth more than trying to be fancy in front of your friends going, oh, me? I'm a lawyer, Jason Esquire.
Right.
Dr. Jason. No, fuck all that. Yes,
all
those things are important, you know?
Right.
There is real value and real social skills and benefits from being in the trades. And also knowing that you're not cut out for it. That doesn't mean a bad thing about you.
Absolutely not. You just know that's not the path.
As I said earlier, it's a valuable life skill to know, hey, I don't know what I'm doing with those sort of things, so I know to hire a professional, and that saves you time and hassle and money and whatever.
Right.
It's knowing what you're getting yourself into. I think it could be real important over time for people. I really believe, I know this is crazy. People are going to fucking hit us up.
Right. I hope so.
I know they are. But, you know, to get back to our original point here, look, I know what I'm saying is crazy, okay? But it's not crazy. Think about it for a minute. A sense of national unity, learn what you know and what you don't. It encourages people to be involved in the governance of their country because they know how the country really works. They see what the getting things done class versus the planning things class does, right? Office versus on the ground. That there's nothing the matter with getting your goddamn hands dirty. I'm wearing a hat right now.
Yep.
Right? Dirty hands, clean money.
Support blue collar.
Support blue collar. Shout out to the Trollco. Please send us some merch. I would love to have it on the episode. It doesn't matter what class you're in, what race you are, what gender you are, as long as you get up and go to work every day and you learn useful skills for the rest of your life, whether it's a skill you now can do for yourself or you know that you don't want to do. I mean, come on. And I know people are going to jump on this, and I'll admit, I know people are going to jump on this, as my friend did, as we preface at the start of this with my Canadian socialist, communist, libtard bullshit. I know people are going to jump on me and say, well, this is some fucking socialist, communist bullshit. No, it's not. Think about it. Have an open mind and think about it for 5 minutes and say, hey, would it really be so bad for young people to learn what they will enjoy, what they might be successful at, or what they don't want to do for the rest of their lives, and they do all that probably before they incur a bunch of university debt that maybe teaches them the same lesson, but they're 30 or 40 grand in debt. I'm just saying, folks, it's also a valuable learning lesson that doesn't cost you a fortune.
Right. And I couldn't sum it up better than that, man. And when it comes down to it is we need people. You know what? At the end of the day, we need people to enjoy the trades and we need them to come in. But I couldn't say any better. I mean, I want everybody to send all their comments and their craziness. Go right ahead. Send it to our email, isawpodcast@gmail. Send it to our, you can even DM us on Instagram, right? At isawpodcast. You can even send us a text message, 507-607-ISAW. right? 4729.
That's right.
507-607-4729.
4729, yep.
Send us a text. We can't text you back unless you've signed up on our email.
We mentioned that earlier. Yeah.
Right. We mentioned that at the beginning. But, dude, like, you're not far off.
I know it sounds crazy.
And I know I'd be on your side. Yet.
I know when some people hear it, they're going to think it sounds like communism, socialism nonsense. I'm not trying to force people into doing anything, but is there some benefit to letting the young people see how the world really works and the people that keep things running for them? And if we get a handful of people every year out of that group, then we have a handful of people that are going to keep things running. Just have an open mind and think about it. It's not socialism, Canadian libtard bullshit. It's
a good way to get people to actually have a little bit of adjustment and a little bit of open-mindedness to what is actually happening.
And if they hate it, at least they'll understand what the people who are doing those things for them going forward. I think it solidifies the importance of this part of the economy and workforce that has gotten a bad rep. Dirty construction work for such a long time, right? We talked during the episode. Everybody's heard it by now with Katie. If you haven't go back and listen to their episode with Katie Bachman. She was great. That we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And we either learn and go forward and keep the world working, or we don't. And I just hope people can have an open mind. I know this was sort of a wild tangent for us, half in the bag here, but it's not wrong.
It's not totally out of the world.
It's not crazy, right?
Right. Not super crazy. It's a little crazy, but not super crazy.
No. Listen, I realize it's not crazy. It's a radical suggestion.
Right.
But listen, folks, I'm not asking your kids to do something crazy. I'm saying if they had an experience of what working for a living is like for the people who keep the lights on and the water running and the air conditioning on and put up the buildings and take the trash away and deliver things and drive truck and keep our cars and trucks going as mechanics, then maybe they'd have a better appreciation going forward of the skills that it takes to do that. And maybe it won't drive the value of all the stuff we do down in the economy. And maybe, just maybe, some of those people will find a trade that they're really successful at. And you know what? They might find it before they take $100,000 in college debt. I'm just fucking saying.
I think that's the most important. We're right fucking there, man.
Are we good, man?
We are fucking solid.
Go ahead, buddy.
I'm sorry. I just want to, if Jason's okay with it, I'd like to just close out and say that don't forget your work keeps the world working. And us as construction workers make that happen.
Thank you, everybody, for listening through this important but half-drunk episode. You're going to get some of these because we're pretty honest. We're drinking most of the time. But thank you, everybody, for listening. John, as always, buddy, you already gave our motto, but what I would like to say to everybody out there is thank you for listening. Please share it with one friend today. Things are gaining traction. And if we get nothing else out of this podcast, we get some new people into the trades, what we've said is very important. And if not, I hope we made you laugh today.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, sláinte, buddy. God love you. And until next week, everybody, thank you very much, and we appreciate you listening once more.
Bless you.